Different, don't get bad. High difference of my winning. Show do good, not that swing. Yeah, I got nice vision. All my brothers. Hey, it doesn't make sense to me, dude.
Sean here, and I think Chancey Poo can't help but speed run his way into state custody. He posted a video, or at least N-Word Boy thankfully edited it and posted it for us so we didn't have to suffer through the 9 hours of like 6 sentences repeated over and over again. I don't think Chance is aware of a couple things. The first one, he's in the legal system. We know he was arrested twice. I don't know what kind of misdemeanors he's had or any juvenile record. I don't think he would talk about it. He doesn't exactly like to talk about his criminal record unless he's talking about, yeah, my boy was in there in some solid charges. We dapped it up. He knew I wasn't doing anything. We ran that place. But he's in the legal system. I don't know. Somebody else may be smarter than me. I don't know how to find out. I don't want to do anything unethical or illegal. But I don't know if Chance is an adult dependent. I know he wears adult depends, boots. I don't know if he's an adult dependent and Sally gets a tax credit. I don't know if they're getting assistance because Chance is special needs, maybe labeled as disabled. And if he was getting the proper help and he wasn't being a menace online and threatening everybody, and I saw him on the street, I would feel sorry for him. If he was a nice guy, just a guy who accepted what had happened to him. Whenever he talks about his situation, it makes me vomit. There was I think he was a quadriplegic. I think so. I think it was quadriplegic. Anyway, he never missed church in the sun or rain. Didn't matter. He was on his motorized scooter, controlling it however they do. And he had this big flag with the cross on it on the back, and he would make it all the way to church. He was dedicated. It meant something to him, and he refused to miss it. So, when we're talking about Chance and the employment situation, which I'm tying it in, hopefully that didn't put you guys to sleep. What we're tying it into, if Chance really wanted something, he wanted to go out and do it, he would go do it. Because if that guy can go, I think it was a couple miles he went on that motorized scooter on his own, Chance would go do it. The state, and I'm getting to the point, the state is more lenient on someone who is reliant on the system if they are trying to get off the assistance, if they're trying to better themselves, make a name for themselves, do whatever they're doing, just trying to get away from that addiction, because I'm sure it becomes addictive. In West Liberty, they call it the draw, getting on the draw, West Liberty, Kentucky. And that seems to be the goal down there. My ex, her grandfather, they were from West Liberty, and they moved up to Ohio. Well, anyway, he would tell me these crazy stories about the draw, they want to get on the draw, and he'd always say that. He was a gentleman, but he'd always pull out that redneck accent. And I'm looking at Ed on the screen, and I'm like, yeah, he wants on the draw if he's not already on it. Once you get it on it, I don't know how easy it is in Ohio. In Kentucky, it can be a bit of a challenge. They have a bunch of agencies involved in it. I do not know the agencies involved with whatever they're doing, whatever they're getting, but if Chance is a tax credit, he's labeled as a 43, he's in the legal system. If he is a tax credit and disabled, he's in the administrative system, which means there are already flags on him. Looking at an employment history, one quick search, nothing. Looking at his social media, Chance brags. That would be the first thing. Chance brags a lot. You'd look on social media and expect to see Drift King, all the other stuff he says. But it's not there. Why is that important? Because Chance speed running his way into state custody is this. For a decade, he's been saying the same things. We talked about this, but I am switching it up. For a decade, same things, same problems, everything. Now he's putting out videos, desperately begging for help, telling everyone he's not okay, telling everyone he's depressed and he's physically sick for a decade. Now, if I'm on the outside looking in, and I'm not us, we know this is all bullshit. He's got his eyes closed and the lies are flowing. If I'm on the outside looking in, what I'm thinking, and what I would think for any of you, is they must not have any family members or friends. They have no one to talk to. And I'm guilty of, I would probably reach out and say, hey man, do you have anybody you can talk to? If they said no, this is just me. I think some of you are like this too. If they seem genuine and they're not a PDF, yeah, and you don't find any videos of them raging and threatening everyone, you reach out, you're okay. Here's what you can do to make yourself better, whatever. I don't want to talk about that. We're talking about Chance, and I would never reach out to this little goblin. He can't help himself. It's going to take someone else. But he's online, speaking to complete strangers, begging complete strangers, telling them he's trauma dumping all over them. The first thing I think is, where are his parents? Where is his family? Why isn't he telling this to them? And I'm assuming if he's on here begging for help, he's already talked to them and nothing has happened. They haven't listened. If my son told me all of this, I guarantee I would be sitting down listening. My daughter had a bout of depression, and my ass sat down and I listened. I asked if there was anything I can do, and I would have done anything. Most of us would do anything, and the only reason I say most of us is because not all of us have children. No matter how much of a screw-up your child is, their life is more important. Their future, I'm not talking about financial or anything, but keeping them alive, helping them get from point A to point B and eventually be successful, if you have a chance, I mean, it's going to take a long time. That should be your main goal. So what it appears to me is that Chance is not receiving any help at home at all. They're not listening to him. If he's telling them, I'm not okay, I haven't been okay for a long time, and I'm so depressed, and you've seen me getting sick. Now, if this is true, let's pretend it's true. Let's pretend that all of this is true, and Chance's only way of dealing with it, God, I feel sick just pretending it's true. But let's pretend it's true, and his only outlet is to get online and beg a bunch of people for help. Get sympathy from strangers. And that was the title of a chapter of a book I was attempting to write, never finished it, Sympathy from Strangers. He has gotten to the point, in the pretend world, that he's given up trying to talk to the woman who's supposed to be in charge of his care, and her meth head partner, Meth Ed is what I'm going to call him from now on, M-E-T-H-E-D, Ed. They didn't listen, they're not paying attention, they don't care. This is why Chance needs to be careful. All of the filthiness and the scabs, and if he does have that disease that we talked about, where he might be vegan, celiac, or whatever it is, I don't know, Swampy D knows. And nothing is being done about that, and he's continuing to deteriorate, and that's probably part of his mental health. The way he looks, the way he feels physically, he's not sleeping during peak hours, which would be normal. Truth is, if you stay up all night, that's not the cycle your body naturally wants to be on. And even though you can trick it into adjusting to that, because I used to work 7 at night to 7 in the morning at Intel in Oregon, and I did that for 2.5 years. I was absolutely miserable. I was always tired. It was a good job, and the carrot dangling in front of you is always to get on days. But I had circumstances where I had to come back home and help. It doesn't really matter. We're talking about Chance not sleeping. And if Chance has mental issues, which we know he does, this only amplifies them. Everything happening in that house is wrong. His diet, his sleep, his physical health, his mental health, his delusions, none of it is healthy. And again, if you're from the outside looking in, let's go to this side. You have to assume that Sally and Ed are at their wits' end, and they've given up all hope of assisting him in any way. They've exhausted all resources. Maybe they can't afford the medication. I mean, hell, I thought he was schizophrenic for a while. And I don't use that lightly. When you take psych classes and things, you learn that schizophrenia in the movies is not exactly how it is in real life. And it's difficult to diagnose. but seeing Chance sit around and get paranoid and come online. And I'm wondering if the reason he's constantly coming back online is he's assuming that when he's not here, everyone is saying everything, the same thing, that because he says the same thing for 10 years. And I'm wondering if he assumes we have been saying the exact same words for 10 years, which is why he's given the same answers. It's almost like he bottled up whatever it is he did, whatever it is he thought that we were blaming him for. This is his head, not mine. And he never added anything into it. He never added anything into it. So it's always the same thing. I mean, he's still talking about Anaconda, White Bowser. It is like banging your head into the wall, listening to this little goblin just repeat the same thing. Like he's rehearsing for a play. Like he's rehearsing to go in front of the court one day. Your Honor, music, Biz Marty. William Glory Hole and N-word boy. Those three names right there, man, I would flip if I was on the jury. Your Honor, we'd like to hear those names again. Well, he said it pretty clearly. Your Honor, somebody coughed. I couldn't hear it. Make him say it again, please. Music, Biz Marty. Oh, R.I.P. to Nick Biegler. To this day, I just wish he would pop back up. I just wish this was all an elaborate ruse. Even though Marty's winning from beyond the grave, I do wish it was an elaborate ruse. Holy crap, that would set the community on fire. That would cause Chance to go into an utter meltdown. I told you he was alive. No, Chance. You came out recent. You accepted that he's passed. And anyway, and the fact, that's probably a bad way to put it. And the issue he has is that whatever he thinks is fact. So, and this is where projection gets really tricky, because when you're projecting what you feel onto other people, Darkside Phil, I mentioned it before, he always does that. Always. And I don't usually say always, if you were in the pornography community, always, everyone, the absolutes, the extremes. He will have, like, one of his business meetings, and he'll say, oh, and everybody was telling me, Phil, we like what you're doing. You're such a good... I'm not shitting you. We like what you're doing. Your gameplay's solid. It's positive. We're having a great time. And that is an excuse so he can do whatever he wants. With Cyraxx, and I don't know if this is the case, the projection can be catastrophic, especially if you hate yourself. And I go through phases where I do hate myself. I'm sure some of you do too. You just relive some of your greatest embarrassments. Forget about all your accomplishments. Cyraxx doesn't have any accomplishments. So he could be projecting the way he sees himself onto other people and naturally assume that everyone he ever talks to feels the same way. Even though he's a narcissist and he's delusional, he wouldn't even know he was doing it. Subconsciously projecting his inner feelings towards his situation, not himself. Let's be clear, he's narcissistic. His situation. Everyone sees me as a loser because, and I don't know what Ed says to him when the cameras are off. I don't think he cares. But if Cyraxx started running his little beak, Meth Ed may just say, hey, you're nothing but a degenerate dig-a-dang-ding-dong. Yeah, with the white powder, whatever that song was. Face down in my chowder. I don't think it's verbal abuse from Sally. I think it's a mom who is treating Chance like a child. Never taught him any life skills. He doesn't have a future. He has no hope. Homelessness is his destiny. I haven't done it. I don't want to clog up the system, but I did want to call Ohio and say, what is the consideration period time-wise? Is there some kind of prioritization system for group homes or for some kind of mental facility, mental health care? Full-time? Not like checking yourself into someplace like Charter or something like that. Well, like not being seized. I don't want to use it like that. I don't know what the term you guys know what I mean, where they come in and they just say, look, this is what we're doing. He needs this. We're not going to take away your access. But the truth is, Ed and Sally, they don't need access to him for the first couple months. Now, one hand, you'd say for stability reasons, you want to put them in there. You want him to have connection with them so he doesn't completely just spaz out. But on the other hand, if you took Cyraxx away from them, he's going to feel special because he's going to be getting constant attention. Although I could see him walking around in one of those hospital gowns, just flashing every nurse that goes by. You want to see my little goblin? He's speed running it, though. I'm hoping that makes sense about what I meant about from the outside looking in and seeing somebody that is desperate and begging strangers for the help that anyone close to them should be working towards. Try to get Chance some kind of help. Get him on some kind of antidepressant. Get him on anything. A stimulant. Guanfacine or Dex or anything. Just get him on something. And if he is bipolar, which I don't think he is, I do not think he is, it would be much more pronounced, especially with no sleep. It would be much more pronounced. Although he does rage out and snap. I mean, good God, it's so hard to tell with Cyraxx. I'd have to sit down with him. I'd never do it. I don't want to touch the poop. And all of this stuff about the state and everything, I don't know what's considered touching the poop and not touching the poop, and I don't want to break the rule. The state is aware of him, though. That is 100% a fact. They are aware of him. And I don't even think that the community was the first people, because there have been people who reached out, but I think it was the police that first maybe had submitted what the hell's that report? Anyway, consideration, something about a consideration, which deals with some kind of mental health concern. I think whenever you report, when the police do a report, and Word Boy probably in William Glory Hill, they know all this stuff. Whenever you get arrested, if there's mental health concern, it's noted, right? They labeled him a 43. There's got to be a file somewhere where if this guy's on the radar, man. We saw a legit scamp from Oblivion. Chief, you're not gonna believe this shit. We went to the house, Oblivion music started playing, and here comes this scamp out. Right out the Oblivion gate. Oh my God, if somebody has CGI capabilities or high-level AI, it would be awesome if the video where he came out with a bat, that they CGI'd an Oblivion gate on his front door, so when the goblin came out with the Oblivion music, oh my God, that would be epic. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't know where they're at. I don't know where he's at. I do know Sally and Ed are epic failures. And if Chance really is begging for help, I'm not touching the poop. I don't believe him, and I'm not touching the poop, even if he was serious. I'm just not. Because Chance is shit. A giant pile of shit, and you'll just get it all over you. That's my video for today. I hope that was enlightening somewhat. I was just trying to reason some things out. As I was talking, I remembered other things, but you guys are the best. I'll see you in the next one.
It doesn't make sense to me, dude.
Different, don't get bad. High difference of my winning. Show do good outside swinging. Yeah, I got night vision. Don't my brothers.